Well, after a heartbreaking basketball loss at the gun last night, K-State blows a 10-point lead with about 5 minutes left in Salt Lake City. And hey, here's the good news. Look on the bright side. We're all going to die, so none of this matters anyway. We'll talk about it next. All right, welcome in. John and Cole. 51-47 is the final. Utah wins. That was, to be honest, I guess if this is any consolation, that was probably the Big 12 game of the year. I don't think there's been a wilder game certainly played in the Big 12 this season. And, K-State looked like had this game in control a couple different times. They set all sorts of records. If you had Joe Jackson breaking Darren Sproles' single-game rushing record at K-State, on your bingo card, congratulations. I did not have that one today, but it did happen by one single yard. 293 rushing yards today. Cole, I assume that has been Holiday bottled in Bond bourbon that you just took a drink of.
That is, John. I poured my first one after the game just to get ready for this show. Did not have a drink during the game. Thought I would wait, thinking K-State might win, and we'd go look at maybe Christmas lights after the show tonight with the kids, and then maybe I'd have a drink, but not in the spirits to go look at Christmas lights anymore, John. We've had quite a 24 hours, you and me together, and all K-State fans. So,
yeah. Will you be sending some Ben Holiday bottled in Bond bourbon from our good friends at Holiday Distillery with a Christmas card to the officiating crew of today's game? I wonder.
Yeah, I better not say what I was going to say.
Send them some like Evan Williams, like what is like the most bottom shelf thing I could think of. I just remember puking Evan Williams one time when I was like a sophomore in college.
Maybe Kentucky Deluxe. I don't know, John. Evan Williams, that might be too good for them. That was abysmal. It was so bad that it raises questions on the Big 12 conference in my mind on what just transpired with the integrity of that crew and the league in itself. So it was there just so many questionable calls. But at the end of the day, you got to overcome it, and you're up 10 points, and you got Utah on a 3rd and 22, a Utah team that's not really a particularly good passing team.
Yeah.
And, you gave up a 21-yard completion, get them into a 4th and 1. They get the first down. They score the next play on a big play to the end zone. Then it's a 3-point game. I think the bottom line is, John, is that, this team has this program. And there's positives from this game, and we'll hit on them because they played hard. But this program now, going back to last year, you blew a multiple score lead in the 4th quarter at Houston. You're up 14 against Baylor with 10 minutes left in the game this year, and you lose. And you're up 10 with less than 3 minutes left in the game, and you lose by 4. I don't know who to point the finger at. Ultimately, it's Chris Klieman's program, and he deserves some credit for having them in the game as a 17.5-point underdog, which I thought they were going to get the doors blown off of them, and they score 47 points on Utah. He gets credit for that. That's a hell of a job to put themselves in that situation to where they should have won the game. But to still let it get away, that is hard to fathom, to lose another one like this 3 times in the last year.
Boy, I had not even thought about it in that context, but yeah, it feels eerily similar to the Baylor game, except, this time you didn't have a total, I guess if you want to say the pick 2 is the back-breaking mistake, but it wasn't, the pick 6 was such an obvious thing in Waco. And the pick 2, frankly, I think is bullshit. So, look, I know I'm trying not to cuss as much doing this. I'm sorry. I'll do the push-ups. Jerome Tang, I cursed on Twitter the other day when I was excited about basketball, and now here when I'm upset. But there are a couple things that really stand out about this game. But how many times this season have you seen a pass interference flag get picked up, first of all? And then second of all, on a play like that, where it's like it feels like the end result of that play definitely was a factor in what they did there. I mean, it's kind of like Cole, like last night, one of the things that upset us the most about the Nebraska game is their big, I forget that guy's name, but Kamari McGriff does a fantastic job defending him for a possession, and they wait to see if the shot goes in, it goes out, and then they call a foul. Then the whistle comes. And here it's like, it feels like, hey, this actually like really mattered because Utah just ran it back for 2 and it's a 4-point swing. We'll pick up that flag. I guess it wasn't like totally outright egregious enough. I mean, there was certainly plenty of contact there. It was something you could have called for sure. Not enough, I would think, to be picking it up. Like I don't understand that one at all, man.
Yeah, what's the justification to pick it up? The ball wasn't tipped. Like, that's the only scenario in that situation. The only scenario you pick up the flag in that situation, John, is 2 scenarios. The ball is either tipped and somebody comes in and says ball's tipped, so it's not PI, or it's uncatchable. Well, it was neither of those things. So who's overruling the call there? Like, it did feel that way. It felt like it was a huge play for Utah and they got together. I mean, when he was running it back, John, Brody was yelling, "Get him, Avery!" And I'm like, "Hey, Avery, take the foot off the gas, save your breath. There's a flag." But lo and behold, I started to have this odd feeling as I watched the white hat run all the way down the field, John, and saw 3 guys talking to each other on the crew, that I was like, these guys, it's been so incredibly suspicious that I expected them to pick up the flag almost at that point. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a huge swing.
Well, you bring up a good point. I was going to say that, yeah, because like if you are Avery in that situation, like I was initially a little bit frustrated, like, hey man, you could have made a bit more of an effort there. Now that's a tough one because you're also like, that's an easy way to get a quarterback hurt, is trying to go make a tackle against a dude from Utah who's probably going to truck you. But it's a big play. It's late in the year, I mean, like. And Avery was kind of in that mode today. He was actually putting his body on the line a lot more. That's one of the positive things I did want to talk about. We saw a lot of emotion and care from him. But if you're the quarterback there, you're probably thinking, well, it's 50-50 on whether or not this would be advisable anyway. And I saw the flag. Right? So in the back of your mind, that can have you maybe not decide to chase him. Well, he did go after him to try and chase him down, but that was like after he had already gone out of bounds and kind of just, he didn't make as much of an effort on the first wave there as he could have. And I have to think that in the back of his mind, he's thinking, well, I saw a flag and I saw Lincoln Cure bump into the guy. So,
Well, think of it like this, John. I mean, how many times we watch the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, like you get an offsides, you see the flag come out, or you see a flag downfield for an illegal contact or a defensive hold. So they throw it up, right? Like they think they got a free play. And I mean, that's not quite the same because the ball was already picked and you try to make the play. But like when you assume that there's a PI and then all of a sudden they pick it up with no explanation, that is hard. Just like the 4th and 1 where you got the stop, and you and me have texted and all of us have. I've never seen the officials not allow the team to complete the substitution. K-State had to K-State had to burn a timeout, John, in the first half when Utah subbed, because the referee stood over the ball, which is what they typically do, no matter how slow you're getting off the field. And K-State's guys weren't lollygagging to get off the field, and there were still like 10, 11 seconds on the play clock, and he just allowed them to snap it. They call an illegal substitution on a 4th and 1, and they get the first. I mean, there were so many odd things. We could go after a lot of different calls. Very, very odd behavior by an officiating crew. But
well, that's cool. The only question that I wanted to like emphasize this, like, I don't know what the specific rule is on that. I just know that how many times, show of hands, anybody in the live chat, has anybody ever seen the official not allow the defense to complete the substitution since that became a rule? Because I have never seen it. I have literally never seen it. And what you see all the time is exactly what you mentioned. The offense will have to take a delay of game or call a timeout because the defense is smart. Like, the way to game the system is to have your guys jog off. And if you see them make a sub late in the play clock, then you sub 2 to try and force that situation. Like, that's the strategy of it. I've never seen the officials not allow that sub to be completed. So, and I know there, like the broadcast, they mentioned, hey, did someone jump off sides? And even someone in our group text was like, well, wasn't someone maybe off sides? I know what they called. They called illegal substitution. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm leaving the door open for like, hey, maybe there's something with that rule that I'm just missing. All I know is they cut to Klieman on the sideline, and I just saw him do this. So it looked like Klieman was upset, but also if that really is the deal and they just didn't let the sub happen when you got the stop that would have won the game, I would have thought Klieman would have been going totally apoplectic instead of just, one of these. But I guess maybe by that point he had just kind of had it. I don't know.
Yeah. I saw after the game he said he wasn't going to comment on the officiating. It is what it is. So it was tough. I mean, the illegal man downfield, that was weird. You got a touchdown eventually anyways, but it could be, I think the call was probably right. It was just weird. The flag looked like it came out way after the play, and you saw the sideline supervisor that's not even an official ref in the game out on the field talking to the crew. So that was kind of bizarre. There's a lot of bizarre sequences. Again, I guess I'll get back to John, though. You're up 10, and I know you and I are on board with this. Like, you got
to win. Yeah.
Yeah, you got him in a 3rd and 22. Like, getting up by 2 scores against Utah with 7 minutes or under, which is when K-State took the 2-score lead. Utah is not the type of team because they're so reliant on the ground game. Now, they are explosive in the run, as we saw. They're the best rushing team maybe in America. They're number 2 in most of the yards per carry, everything. So they can really run the ball. But if you get up by 10, 14 on them at that time left, they got to throw it, and that's not their forte. It's disappointing that you allowed them to throw for 259 yards, go 18 to 33. It was the 2nd most passing yards Utah's had in a game this year, John. The defense, they had a couple moments. The big fumble force there, that was a heck of a play, which I thought was going to win the game. It didn't, obviously. They got a couple big stops, but at the end of the day, you gave up 49 points on that end. They get 51, but 2 are on the 2-point attempt there. You give up 49 points on 12 drives. It's just, that's not going to get it done. So just yeah.
Well, you caught Devin Dampier too on a day where now he's not a guy that's going to be throwing into tight windows effectively on a consistent basis, but you caught him on a day too where he was a little worse than I think what was typical for at least the first 3 quarters of the game. He stepped up and he made 2 really nice throws there when they had to have him. The one was the 3rd and 22 throw, which decent coverage. I mean, that was pretty solid coverage. He threw a really nice ball. And then obviously the kind of back shoulder to the end zone for the touchdown. That was another really great pass. But, for a lot of the game, this was not like a locked in, dialed in Devin Dampier who was just uncharacteristically layering balls in and making incredible throws. You got to be better. You got to make those plays. So I am with you on that. Another one of the plays, much like the VJ Payne forced fumble, when you got the intentional grounding call that went against Dampier, you kind of felt like, all right, well, that may be it. That may just about do it.
Yeah, that's where I was at, John, because that put them in the 3rd and 22, right? And then you let them get the 21-yard completion, and they get in that 4th and 1, and they're typically going to convert the 4th and 1 because of their ability to run the ball. But if you just play back, make them get it into like a 4th and 11, 4th and 12, and they got to make a play through the air, that's the game. They don't have a great kicker either. They really aren't able to rely on that. So if you force them to, I don't know if they would have, but if you force them to kick like a 50-yard field goal, you're still up 7. There's good chance he misses it too. So just a lot of factors there. It's hard to blow a game in that situation, and Kansas State found a way, unfortunately. And so the emotional pull of this team has been really hard to I know the guys in that locker room. I saw a quote from Kellis tweeted out a quote from Avery Johnson that it really hurts. And he said that, I'm paraphrasing here, that it was as painful of a post-game locker room he's ever been a part of. So I feel for the guys. They played their ass off. Joe Jackson, the offensive line, the running game, incredible. And we'll talk about it. But there's a lot of other things to talk about too. And so, including another kind of interesting quote from Chris Klieman, John, that
oh boy,
John Kuhn Sports says, Coach Chris Klieman broke down in tears while giving his opening statement at the post-game press conference, said he was crushed by the loss to Utah and tired of the criticism surrounding him and the K-State program. Now, I got to check this John Kuhn Sports because I didn't see Kellis tweet that. I'm trying to find other. And DY, he got sick, so he wasn't able to go to the game. I got to check this John Kuhn Sports because I would really hope that Chris Klieman didn't bring up like the criticism of the program.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But I mean, the guy did. We do know that he was very emotional. We've seen multiple accounts acknowledge that, and Gene Taylor's up there putting his arm around him in the press conference. So,
yeah, let's.
He says, I mean, his account, freelance journalist with the AP, Associated Press.
Well, we'll have a couple minutes after we take a break. I guess we can try. Does someone have it posted yet? Is it? I want to text Kellis.
I really hope this can't be real. It really can't. I mean, because we'll go to a break because there's another tweet.
Yeah, there's the video's up. Video's up. All right, I'll watch it during the break because I don't like that if that's the case. And I'm like, do we have to do that again? Do we have to do that again? I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that again, John. I wasn't in the mood to do this. So I hope this isn't actually legit. But let's digest it here during the break. We'll come back to talk about it.
I think it's legit because Kellis tweeted about it too. So, all right. Well, hey, sports are great. Chiefs are winning. Not. Calling all Chiefs fans, you can be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA field for the official coin toss at the Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We're back in just a moment.
Missouri, big news. It's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. No wonder it's America's top-rated sportsbook app. The countdown is on. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KCSN. New Missouri customers sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code KCSN. The crown is yours. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply, subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are not withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
We need to get new leadership here. We need to get new players, new coaches.
Just listen to it live.
Should we just play it? I mean, I think
I don't know. How well is it coming in there, Nick? Did you hear it, Cole? Did you listen to it?
I could hear it. It came in like at the end of that. It wasn't great. I mean, you could try it again here real quick, folks. Hang with us.
Yeah. I mean, just so we both hear it, like as
a coach. And it's hard to say this because we lost the game. We're down so many players. I know a lot of people thought we'd come over here and lay down. And that maybe the kids had cashed it in because I've heard it enough. I've cashed it in. I've heard the players have cashed it in. We need to get new leadership here. We need to get new players, new coaches. I'm tired of it. I got to be honest with you. I'm tired of it. I've given my friggin' ass life for this place for 7 years. Everything for 7 years. And I think I deserve a little bit of respect. Because I'm frustrated, like everybody else is, but I love those kids. I'll go friggin' battle with those kids.
All right, I think I would imagine that's probably going to be the general gist of the main part of it here. Okay, I have a lot of thoughts. on that. I mean, I will say, like, first, I understand him being totally devastated about the game because they were playing, we outlined it. They were playing so shorthanded. He is absolutely right to mention that. He is not wrong about that. They, they are down so many guys at this point. Just about all their frontline talent. How they managed to set a school record for rushing, to school that prides itself on running the ball, to set to have a running back set the Rice-Eccles Stadium record for a running back and break Darren Sproles' individual single game record is insane. I don't care how much Utah actually cared about the game or what. That's an unbelievable effort. It certainly felt like they laid down and kind of had cashed it in last week. So, yeah, we all thought that was what was going to happen this week. I can understand how that fired them up. And I do have a lot of respect for the effort that they played with today, 100%. Had they won, he definitely deserved a moment to get up there and dunk the ball a little bit. So I think all that's totally fair. Klieman's an emotional dude. This is how he has been. We've seen moments like this. Remember him kneeling down by Skylar Thompson when it looked like he was going to be out. Knee injury wasn't as serious as we thought in 21, but it looked like he might be out with another serious injury. And it's who he is. And I can appreciate that about him. I think he's a great human being, which honestly I think is perhaps atypical of a lot of coaches at this level. Okay, so from that standpoint, I understand where he is coming from, and I get just how crushing that has to be, especially when, again, you did not get a good whistle. You got some really weird, screwy things happening here that if one of them goes the other way, you're winning that game. I also am of the mind to say the Manhattan, Kansas media market and environment, and in Glass House, yes, 100%. But I'm not a coach that's paid millions of dollars. I'm a guy that left the radio industry because I was barely making enough to live, right? I don't get paid millions of dollars to not hear the criticism and that stuff. But I just wish that there would be a little more hey, we need to get this fixed and have the program be better and finish these games and have a better season so that the fans wouldn't be all over us, because go try it any other place in the country, man, that cares about football. This is not a tough media market. This is not a particularly tough fan market. I feel like it's not really the attitude that I want of someone leading the football program right now in a really tough era where you got to really push to get over the hump. And there are legitimate concerns about the leadership. And I know that there's a friendship there as it relates to the leadership. But I think Chris Klieman even knows and has expressed that there needs to be a little bit more leadership in what is happening there if K-State's going to be competitive at the highest level. So there is a part of me that gets frustrated by that. I'm not going to go off like last week, but those are the two, the devil and the angel on my shoulders. That's where I'm at after hearing that.
John, this is worse than last week. Don't you think? He basically just told K-State fans to buzz off. Hey, we're 5-6, but we didn't quit. Yes, we were 17.5-point underdogs because we massively underachieved for the third consecutive season, picked to win the league. But we're a 5-5 football team going to Salt Lake City in a game that was thought to be a game that would be contending for the Big 12 championship. But doggone it, moral victory time. We only lost by 4. We led by 10. You guys need to be grateful for me. You know what? That's bullshit. This is a big boy business. If you want to be treated like that, go to the FCS in North Dakota State. Okay? Because that is so bad. I cannot fathom. I didn't want to have to go there with this show. I told you before the show, before we went live, you know what? I was even playing the moral victory card. You know what? They get credit for being in that game. It's frustrating as hell they blew it and choked it away. But those kids did lay it on the line. And I was going to, criticize myself because, we burnt down Joe Jackson this year. And that kid played his ass off. An incredible performance. Offensive line was good. You set a school record for rushing yards, had all these positive stats. I was pulling at halftime and sending to you guys and tweeting them out. I I don't want to have to do this. I am a K-State fan. I don't want K-State to lose. We all want the best for the program, and we got invested in this game. We were emotionally checked out, and I think we all collectively got invested. We wanted them to win. We didn't want Chris Klieman and Kansas State to lose. But then to go up there and to say that, like, I get he's a human being, but you got to be tougher, man. Like that's tough for me to listen to. Because again, he tells you last year that 8 wins is really hard, and basically is implying that should be good enough. And now they're 5-6, and they're down some guys. They're hurt. A lot of teams are hurt. Think about Utah last year. Did Kyle Whittingham break down and cry last year when he lost half his team to injuries? Look what they did. They bounced back this year. So I get it. You're keeping a more level head than me on this. I saw that tweet paraphrasing the quote, John. I thought it was fake because I didn't think any head coach, even Chris Klieman, with some of the bizarre things he said in press conferences, would go there. But he did go there. He told you should be grateful for everything he's done. K-State fans are grateful for the good things. That doesn't mean they shouldn't expect more right now. They shouldn't be disappointed. You want to be where there's expectations. You want to be at places where they're disappointed when you don't meet those expectations, because that means the people care. They keep showing up. They keep selling out stadiums. They care. You mentioned the media market. Think what Chris Klieman would be facing if he was at Texas or Oklahoma, blowing 3 multiple score leads in the fourth quarter of games at Houston, Baylor, and this one at Utah. Like he would be under so much immense fire and a pressure. And I just, that's an unacceptable quote in the post-game press conference. And it just joins a long line of things that he said that just are not sitting well with me. And that sucks because they played well today. They laid it on the line. They played well offensively, I should say. The defense probably left some things desired.
Yeah. Well, another thing I would add is, hey, I saw the debate among Arizona fans today is about their fans because they were 7-3, having the best season. I guess 2 years ago they had a pretty good year, but basically they've had the 2 best seasons that they've had in like 15 years, 2 of the last 3 years, this being one of them. They're 7-3, and I mean their stadium was like half full at best today for senior day, for the last home game. You know, that's the trade-off. Like the pressure might be a little bit less there, and even then they were trying to run Brent Brennan out after 1 year last year. So yeah, I don't as a human being, I understand. And a part of this, Cole, is because like I know my own personal experience. Nobody really cares about this, but my own personal experience being in a semi-public space, you know, for the last 15 years of my life is that I have not typically handled criticism well, or, you know, trolls or people who want to come after and say whatever it is on the internet, right? Like I completely, from a human standpoint, I understand how difficult that is. And I totally believe him that he's laid it all on the line and given his total life to K-State for the last 7 years. That is the nature of the business. You have to do that. I completely believe him and understand. And on a human level, I got a ton of empathy for him. I totally get it. I just think the reality is, if you're getting that wrapped up in it at this point, you're not going to be and with the attitude about 8 wins and everything that you mentioned, Cole, where the program is headed. 8 wins is hard. Winning in Stillwater is hard. Like, if that's your driving force and your motivation right now, and that's what you're thinking, and hey, we're getting treated poorly and unfairly, I think the reality of, in this hyper competitive environment in college football right now, you're not going to be as successful as I think a lot of people here want the program to be. I have genuine concerns about where things are headed if that is the attitude. Another thing I will say, you don't have much of a cooling off period before you're going to the mic there. You're hot, you're emotional. We all get crazy emotional after games, right? And if you put a microphone, if you put a microphone in my face right after things happen, like it, you know, clearly he said things like this in Stillwater last week and then got after it behind the scenes, and he got those guys ready to go and almost beat Utah. So I guess my point is, like, That doesn't mean that like that's how he is all the time or that that's driving his daily decisions. But I'm with you that I don't love, it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in me. I'll put it that way, that he's going to be the guy to lift this program back to where it needs to go. So,
yeah, no, that's not an inspiring soundbite. Look, I think we all as a fan base can collectively appreciate what Chris Klieman has given this program and delivered a Big 12 championship. And the thing I'll say about Chris Klieman and what he's done is he did something that a lot of people would have been scared to do, and that is take over a job from Bill Snyder, the only coach that's really won at Kansas State. And he followed in the footsteps, and he became the only coach that's won at Kansas State, really, other than Bill Snyder, because obviously we know Ron Prince was a huge failure. And so that was a difficult position for him to come into, coming from the FCS in North Dakota State. And I was incredibly skeptical of the hire. And he proved me wrong. He was the right guy. He did good things for this program. And he has now proven and put it in a better place to where the next coach that eventually follows Chris Klieman won't have the pressure of following Bill Snyder. And somebody else proved they can win here. I appreciate Chris Klieman, even though I know I don't probably sound like it right now, and I'm very frustrated, heat of the moment. But at the same time, if that is going to be your attitude, and the attitude that he's shown over the last couple of years, and I question if you are cut out for the future landscape of college football, and basically calling out, I don't know, media, fans. I don't know who he's calling out here. Obviously, we've been very critical and stuff, and maybe that got back. And I'm sure he's heard the fan criticism about the Oklahoma State stuff. And they get credit for getting him off the map. But at the end of the day, he still lost the game. And this is a game about winning and losing, especially in the NIL era, with the millions of dollars that are invested in each team and all the money that's invested in any of these facilities at Kansas State that donors have put forth, and selling out the stadium every game. Like, again, you're at a place that cares. People are frustrated. They expect more. They should expect more. You're going to probably finish 6-6 as a team picked to win the Big 12. And again, finish middle of the pack each of the last 2 years when you're picked to finish second or first in the Big 12 since you won the league in 2022. So yes, people are disappointed. They pointed to the Avery Johnson era and all these guys they brought in as the chance to capitalize and become kind of a stranglehold on the Big 12. And they didn't. And they didn't get a grasp on it. And so everybody's frustrated. I mean, I think most people are frustrated, but I know I am.
Yeah, I think I would just say it's the nature of the beast. I mean, you kind of know what you're signing up for if you're going to be a Power 4 head football coach. Like, there are a lot of things that are great about it. The paycheck is great. There are immense highs. You know, the high of winning obviously is awesome. You do get to coach in front of a packed house. Very cool experiences. And it's a pressure cooker, man. It's a pressure cooker job. Guys get fired all the time. It's pretty ruthless. Fans will, come after you. You got to worry about donors being happy. Like, I think it's like we have a philosophical conversation here. Like, you're losing, again, this is where my brain is in two spots. I'm like, hey, as a human, I get it. You're in a profession though, where it's not really about empathy and being a human all the time. So, I don't know. I'm trying not to get too far down the road because I'll be honest. I mean, I'm kind of frustrated by that. I am. It just feels like it was like the end of the Bill Snyder era. It was more like an adversarial relationship with everybody because it's, how dare you criticize me who's done all of this for you, and like just snippy and like angry. And like, again, there is some validity to that, but it clearly, there were legitimate criticisms that needed to be levied by the end of this. And now it's like we're getting here with Klieman where it's a more on like the emotional side. And hey, I've given you all this for 7 years, and why can't you be happy? And I'm just, I have some flashbacks. We went through the same sort of thing with like Bruce Weber too for a while there. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's my positive stats, John. 4 runs of over 40 yards today. They had 4 on the whole season coming into today. Most rushing yards ever against Utah. Yeah.
Well, that's the funny thing, man. I mean, I was gonna be pretty positive today. I really was. And it's just like hey, this is, where I said like, hey, I get it. I don't always take criticism too well or whatever, but this is Chris. I get it. B Kennedy 7152. This is from a couple minutes ago in the chat. Klieman definitely caught wind of John Hot Takes Kurtz. In the span of the game today to now, I was taking heat from K-State fans of like not being a K-State fan, and now here it's like, oh, your hot take. You can't win. I'm not enough of a K-State fan. I'm too much of a K-State fan. Chris, I get the criticism too, man. It comes at me in waves. It's what it is. It is what it is. All right, let's take a break and just talk about the game.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home, because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise, because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity, because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
Okay. As far as the game goes, I see Evan says no one talking about the 3rd and 22. I would direct you back to the beginning of the video. If you showed up late, we did talk about the 3rd and 22. I think that's, would you say it's the biggest play of the game, Cole?
Yeah, it's a huge play, Evan. So yeah, you might not have heard it because it was early, and I know not everybody gets on right when we're on. Yeah, we mentioned it a couple times. It was a gigantic play to allow a pass, a completion, on 21 yards to get them in a 4th and 1 in that situation, up 10 with 4 minutes left against a team that struggles to throw the football. 3rd and 22 is kind of the dream if you're the defense against Utah. So, giving that up and then allowing them that was a gigantic play. Cause if you get them in like 4th and 15, 4th and 12, you got a really good chance to just end it right there. And unfortunately you didn't. And then they convert, eventually get a first and get a touchdown a couple plays later. So, anyways, I did. Yeah,
it hurts too. Here's a play we should mention. I mean, it hurts too that they're, you're down Toby. Pass rush obviously isn't in the greatest shape right now. And then Ryan Davis, say what you will about him, but he could definitely have helped in the pass rush, but he got a very, very inexcusable penalty that got him thrown from the game. So that was, yet another thing that they were working against. Obviously, that is something of your own doing, but I did figure I would mention that because that was one of the places where I'm like, okay, hey, it would be nice to have some pass rush juice on 3rd and 22 there.
Yeah. I agree. I also want to say, I saw a comment in here in the live chat that I'm part of the fan base that only will accept a playoff berth. No, I don't expect a playoff berth every year. Just to clarify, folks, I expect, I've said this numerous times. I expect to contend, make it to a Big 12 championship at least once every 3 years in this landscape of the Big 12. And K-State really hasn't come close to doing that. So I just want to clarify that. I don't expect K-State to win the Big 12 every year. I don't expect them to be in the playoff every year. And I don't think a lot of the fan base actually expects that. I think we expect them to contend without an Oklahoma and a Texas to contend once every, 2-3 years for the Big 12 and make it at some point in that 3-year period. And then I'm happy with that, especially when we know the resources that were put into this team. So
I think some of it too is as we made pretty clear, like we want the program to act like that's the expectation.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's been like a lot of the issue this year is, act like it. Act like this has been a disappointing season. I think instead the attitude has turned very adversarial and like, hey, we're upset at people being upset that we're losing. I mean, let's not forget, like, it's not just that they lost games. Like, guys, remember, they played like the worst Power 4 team in the country when they were losing games in September. I mean, it was very, very bad. Very poor showing. And it's crazy. I mean, that's the frustrating thing about this team. They're so Jekyll and Hyde. Like, you can get that type of performance against North Dakota and Army back in September with a fully stocked roster. And then here you're down all your playmakers and you can get this incredible fired up effort, and they're trying things. They moved Matt Wells up to the booth today. And all of a sudden the offense is clicking that much better. Who knows how much that actually had to do with it? But like, hey, I don't know, maybe use that pitch before you're 5-5 and the season's done. So that, like, there's a lot of things to be frustrated here by, and it just act like we're proud of this program. It's done a lot of really good things. It was looked upon a couple of years ago as like, hey, this is a team that could really be one of the top programs in this new Big 12. And it hasn't happened. And I think we're like, hey, we are a program that can be like that. So we would like to see the leadership act like this is a program that should be like that. And I think that's where a lot of the disconnect is this year. If the leadership were like, hey, yeah, this has been really disappointing. We expect better. We will get back to work and get better. If that were the consistent message, I think you wouldn't, but I know it's a chicken or the egg, and they'll say, hey, you're criticizing and that's why we react this way. So you're kind of stuck in a chicken or the egg situation there.
Yeah. This is why I don't look at the live chat a lot. Like, I see people say like you're delusional if that's your expectation. Like, I don't know if you're a K-State fan or if it's like oh, you're little old K-State and you're a fan of somebody else and you think it's delusional. I don't think it's delusional to expect that. I mean, Kansas State's put $250 million in privately funded donor dollars into facilities over the last 12 to 15 years. The fan base invests. They have 50,000 plus people at every home game. No, that is not delusional to expect to contend in this conference. Get that out of the way too. It sucks because, it's like, John, I went back to the year 2000 of Utah, and the 8.83 yards per play that K-State had today is the second most that I could find. And I mean, I could go back even farther, but I just stopped at the year 2000. So that was fascinating. Obviously, the most rushing yards Utah's ever given up, the school record for rushing yards by Kansas State. At halftime, I had pulled the numbers, and the most was ever 439 versus Drake in 1953, I believe. Joe Jackson sets the school record for rushing yards. 439 versus Drake in 1953 was the record. And so an incredible feat to do it against a Utah defense that, is really good, like a top 5, top 10 defense in the country. Now they've been gotten a little bit in the run this year. West Virginia ran for 261 on them. They were giving up 4 yards per carry. Their biggest strength is their pass defense. They're top 10 in the country in that. But still, to do what K-State did on the ground was absolutely incredible, especially when you consider what they had at wide receiver, John. Utah knew that Kansas State had to run the ball. Like, you have Jerron Tibbs at receiver, basically, and they couldn't stop it.
Did they throw to a receiver besides Tibbs today?
Well, I'm trying to think. They threw to Lofton, tight end, but
tight ends who were busy dropping passes as per usual. But
Garrett Oakley, and again, I'm talking tight end. I'm trying to just think through my head who all got thrown to. I don't believe Adonis Moise got a reception, and when I thought Sterling Lockett got a jet sweep, it turned out it was Quay Moss.
Quay Moss. Yeah, there was no one that caught a ball that was a receiver other than Jerron Tibbs. I do not know if there was another one targeted for sure, but
I don't remember, John, another target. I don't think Moise had one. Now K-State only threw it about 20 times in the game, but it was basically Tibbs and then the tight ends. I don't believe any of the other receivers did. I mean, look what was on the field. No disrespect here, guys, but look what was on the field with 54 seconds left in the game. Avery Johnson was throwing to Braden Lofton, Adonis Moise, Sterling Lockett, and then you had Jerron Tibbs because Garrett Oakley was hurt and not in the game either at that point. I don't think anybody realistically expected against a top 5 pass defense and 54 seconds and no timeouts to do anything really there. Like they didn't have much of a chance. Now, I guess something we didn't talk about, John, was Utah gets the score with 2:47 left. And like, I think we all kind of collectively thought, because it feels like this has happened a lot in the Klieman era. Maybe I'm wrong, but they just went 3 and out. Like,
yeah.
I mean, they got 1 yard.
Yeah. Let's table that. You started to hit on what I wanted to make the top storyline, because I did. Again, I came into this wanting to make this more of a positively focused thing. It's brought to you by Alenco, our friends at Alenco, alencohome.com, ALENCO home.com for all of your home improvement needs. Look, I mean, to me, the top storyline, it's Joe Jackson, dude. Like, I mean, and the offensive line. Give them both all the credit in the world for that effort today. I mean, the offensive line has been totally underwhelming this year, and Joe Jackson has just not looked like a guy with much burst, or, he's just not providing you much of anything in the way of juice at the running back position. Decidedly average or below average running back. Today, it didn't look like that at all. I mean, yes, some of it is bad run fits, maybe some bad effort by Utah, but he got Kyle Whittingham to the point where he spiked his headset because he's frustrated about Joe Jackson ripping through an arm tackle. I thought one of the more impressive plays he had was when he caught the swing pass out of the backfield, which how many times have they tried that this year and it goes nowhere? And he blew around somebody on the corner. He looked faster. He looked tougher. Obviously there was more room to run, and maybe we need to revise how we thought about Joe Jackson. How much of it is speaking of chicken or the egg, how much of it is the running back not having anywhere to really go or work with because the offensive line hasn't been very good for much of the year? I don't know, but everybody involved there, A++, man, outstanding effort when they had to have it, because we saw at the end of the game what was going to happen if they had to just rely solely on the passing game. It wasn't going to happen. I'll even throw Avery Johnson into this. Avery Johnson, I thought, ran as tough and hard as we've seen him this year. One of those plays where he got thrown back for a loss, I think it was right before the 4th and 3 touchdown to Oakley. He actually stuck his head down and was like, look, I got no choice. I got to just try and go dive forward into 4 black jerseys here that are going to beat me up, and I got to go do it. I was proud of him for the way he was running. So we saw a lot of things that I think I wanted to see these back in September, but hey, credit to them for busting it out today when nobody thought they had a chance to win.
Not only that, John, but Antonio Martin finishes with 5 carries. Yeah. 5 carries for 89 yards. But John, had they not called, which again, another officiating,
stats.
Yeah, we can get that. If they had not called the hold, he finishes with 5 carries for 150 yards. John, Antonio Martin. You probably would have been looking at, it would have been obviously the best duo of rushing performances ever, because Joe Jackson set the school record himself for rushing yards, breaking Darren Sproles' single game carry record. And, but Antonio Martin was making big plays in the running game. And I will say that Joe Jackson looked more explosive, faster today than I'd seen him at any point this season. And it also, it kind of made me wonder, has he been playing dinged up? I don't know. Sometimes we don't know, these guys might be playing through things and we don't know about it. So sometimes the criticism can be unfair. We've been really hard on Joe Jackson. And now I watched today and I'm kind of okay, he looks different. He caught that swing pass and he outran the defender to the edge for 19 yards. And I was like, man, he did look a lot more explosive there. Obviously, a couple of those runs, man, that one in the open field right before the end of the first half, he made a great cut.
He did.
To get the 80-yard touchdown. John, he hasn't done that all year. It's crazy. Joe Jackson, I think, maybe had 1 or 2 runs on the year of 20 or more yards. And today he has an 80-yard run, a 66-yard run, 37 or 44. I can't remember which one was his, a 24-yard touchdown run, which, by the way, that was another great run when we thought they put it away. Spins off a defender, stays on his feet, coasts into the end zone. He was incredible. 293, 24 carries, 11 yards per carry. At one point, I thought he was going to break the also yards per carry on a minimum of rushing attempts of 10 in school history. Now he finishes with 11.2, and Deuce Vaughn at 14.7 against KU in 2021 was the 3rd most ever. So he didn't get quite close there. I don't know if K-State set the school record for yards per carry by a team. We know they set the total rushing record for school yards in a game on the ground, which was really impressive. And again, Utah had only allowed 4 runs of 30 yards or more on the season, and Kansas State had 6 in this game alone. What they did to Utah was incredible. Like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. And that's why it sucks. Like, I wanted to be positive on this postgame. Jimmy, yeah, we did see the postgame press conference. See in the chat. We talked about that a little bit ago. I really wanted to be positive, John. Like, yes, it would have been kind of just a little bit of a star on a really disappointing season. But, they had a chance to finish 6-3 in the Big 12 with a win today. And, I mean, that would have been, if it wasn't for the Army and, other stuff that happened, like, it wouldn't have, I don't know. I don't know how to summarize this season other than disappointing.
It was weird. I mean, I started, mentally I was like in that spot because it definitely looked like you were going to win. So I was mentally in the spot of, hey, they probably are going to finish 6-3 in conference play, which is actually better than last year. And my take was going to be, hey, I can understand if you want to come back and say, obviously moving the game to Ireland was a mistake in retrospect. You would have had a better chance, I think, to win that game against Iowa State later in the year here. And if you would have just had that, maybe you don't get bogged down by the Army thing, or maybe you even just win the Arizona game, call the Army game, the way that they controlled that, just sort of fluky. You might have been able to flip 1 or 2 of those games, and then we're sitting here talking about, probably not a Big 12 championship game type of season, but, another season where it's like, hey, sure, yes, there would have been some grumbling about, 9-3 again, and you don't quite get over that hump. But it would have been much in line with like, hey, this is kind of what the program has been. This is, close to what we expect. It would have, the tone of the season would have been much different. So that was sort of my take, was like, I would actually listen to then if they wanted to come back and be like, hey, we screwed up the beginning of the season, but outside of that, everything else kind of went about the way that it should, or about where the expectation level is for this program. So I was starting to get there in my head, until it all came crashing down.
Yeah, no, I was too. I was eager to come and bring a bunch of numbers to you guys in a positive light, and not be critical. We're all like, John and I are K-State guys, like even DY. We all want K-State to do well. Families all K-State. Like, we live and die with K-State. And so it's been like this emotionally exhausting season, probably like it's been for so many of you, John, because as you just think about like the hype of Ireland, right? And so many K-State fans went over there, and then like Dylan Edwards muffs the punt 1 minute into the game. Like, you get a big sack and you get a 3-and-out or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, that looked great. And then Dylan Edwards muffs the punt, and it's like this and then you get a fumble though. And like, it just, that just kicked off what was just a terrible roller coaster of a season, to where the North Dakota game, you got to, come with a miracle comeback in the last 2 minutes to win. But then you lose to Army, and you lose to Arizona, who looks better than they are, what you thought. But then, like, you're checked out almost, right, after Army. And then you go to Baylor. Then you're like, well, we could have been 2-1 with a TCU home game coming up to get to 3-1. And so then that sucked because you blew a 14-point lead. Then you beat KU. We get excited for Texas Tech, right? And then you lose by 3 scores. Then,
okay, I don't hold the Texas Tech game against them at all, because I think they played Texas Tech basically as well as anybody outside of Arizona State who got to face them with Will Hammond. I think they played Texas Tech about as well as anybody has all year. That reinforced to me that they had made some real changes and had accomplished some things in the back half of this season.
Yeah, to clarify, I didn't expect them really to beat Texas Tech anyways. It was more so like, you beat KU, so we were all excited for the Texas Tech game. Like, at least like the hype and buzz came back, and then, you end up losing that game, and then Oklahoma State happens. I think we're all checked out at that point. And so it's been a weird season. It's been a weird 24 hours for all of us with the Nebraska game and the way that went down last night too. So kind of a shitty weekend.
That's right. Hey, man, I care enough about K-State. I wore this gaudy. I wore this thing Thursday and Friday night at Sprint Center. Okay, everybody, like, can you question my loyalties? If I look at this, I had a friend text me. It was like, hey, where are you at last night? I said, oh, we're in like section 103, like 18 rows up. And he goes, is that like a media credential you're wearing? Like, what is that? I was like, oh, Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I'm wearing this obnoxious chain. I did that for the Cats, man. So I'm trying to grasp onto something. Basketball's been fun enough that I was trying to get there. We were there until the bitter end at Sprint Center last night. I know it's T-Mobile Center. It's not T-Mobile Center, though. It's Sprint Center. When Prince changed his name to a symbol, did anybody call him the symbol? No. They called him Prince. It is Sprint Center. Anyway, I digress. We care, guys. It's a bummer. I feel for everybody involved. We just want the best for the program. I would also emphasize, I think some of what is going on here that people haven't adjusted to and where fan expectations are and fan anxieties are is that we are in an era that is unprecedented even from when Klieman took over 6 years ago, where the existential threat of you becoming Oregon State or Washington State is much more at the forefront of everybody's thoughts right now. So like it's a crucial time. And that I think drives a lot more of the anxieties and reactions for not just K-State fans, but a lot of places. And it's why like everything feels just a little more, there's just more tension all the way around and more stress if you're not winning games. I think that's not a K-State specific thing, is just another thing I would emphasize here. And that's very real. Like nobody wants that. We all love this. It's been a part of our lives forever. Right. So you don't want to see that go away. Obviously that's going to drive some anxieties, and that clearly seems to be getting to, Chris Klieman, Gene Taylor, leadership at K-State, all of that. But it comes from a place of everybody caring really deeply. So anyway.
And John, I would say this, like down seasons do happen. Most programs have a season where they're disappointed. Like fans leave the season, they didn't meet the expectations. And it's no different for Kansas State or a lot of schools. And you can look across just the Big 12 and your peers, and you see that with Utah winning 5 games last year. But here's the difference. Utah's 9-2 this year, right? And if you and me felt like K-State could get back to 9-3 or 10-2 next year based off where they're at right now, I think maybe we're talking about this a little bit differently. But I think that the skepticism that at least I have, that I can speak to, is that I don't see that scenario unfolding next year. So what I see happening is 4 seasons of, probably not contending for a Big 12 championship or making it there, and, maybe winning 7 or 8 games. I don't know. Again, a lot can happen in the portal. Who knows what happens with the staff and everything and changes there potentially. So a lot of things could shake up. But like I can live with a down season every once in a while if you have that high. And to me, it's just the 3 straight years of not getting to that high and looking at a 4th straight year of that probably next year. That's hard for me to stomach. I just wanted to put that out there for everybody to maybe understand my perspective a little bit more. I don't expect K-State to win the Big 12 every year.
And again, if it's a down year, call it a down year. Act like it's a down year. Like act like the expectation should be to be better. Yeah. But we're broken records here. I honestly have no idea what to expect for next season. I'll be honest. I have no idea really what to expect with the roster or the coaching staff. I think it's totally up in the air. So, we got one more game. You got Colorado coming up next week. Once again, it will be interesting to see the response. I'd imagine that this team's still going to play pretty hard, being at home, being senior day. I think you'll get a pretty inspired effort out of this team, I would imagine.
Yeah.
At least relatively. I don't think it's going to be the Oklahoma State game part 2. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one will probably be tough to fill the whole stadium out. I kept talking about sellouts again. It's Thanksgiving weekend. That's always a little bit of a struggle for folks, and not a lot to play for against one of the worst teams in the Big 12. So we'll see. I hope people turn out for the seniors. I go to every game, so at home at least, so I'll be there. And I want them to win. So we all just want what's best for the program. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you to Nick Springer. Thank you to Holiday. Thank you to Alenko. Thank you to all of you lovely, lovely listeners out there. We hope that you're making it through what's been a rough sports weekend for K-State. Okay. Well, that's going to do it for us. We will we'll talk to you soon. I'm not entirely sure when that's going to be next, if we're doing a basketball show or not, but stay tuned. You guys know where to find us. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.